Hello and welcome to Film Companion South. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Rajinikanth receiving the Dadasaheb Phalke Award. It's the most prestigious film award of the country, and I made a list of 10 reasons why it kind of fits Rajinikanth, even though maybe not technically in the film sense, but in the overall sense of somebody who has contributed not just to the film industry but to society. And I'm going to begin by the fact of his humble beginnings. He is a very, very inspiring example of how you can begin like anywhere, but if your dreams and you're at the right place at the right times and you get the right mentor, then you can achieve like sky high success. So that's one of the things that we need these success stories every once in a while, because the proverbial rags to riches story, as we call them, because you know in your head that if you're going to try something like this, that it might not always work out. There's always a 50% chance that this may work out, or a 50% chance that this may not work out. But when we see somebody like Rajinikanth, when we see what he's achieved, when we see where he began and where he is now, it's very inspiring. It's like something to hold on to and say, listen, let me go for it. And I think that's one of the prime achievements of Rajinikanth as a person, as an actor. Second point I came up with was that he is an inspiration in another way as well, because the early Rajinikanth was, like this very normal person. As in, I don't want to judge him, because everyone drinks, smokes, does all these other kinds of things, and he was a young actor. He did all those things. He was not exactly what you would call the greatest good guy or whatever it is, but then he discovered Raghavendra and God and this and that, and he became a very spiritual person, and he kind of gave away a lot of those things that made him him, to the extent that he even stopped doing that smoking trick of his, that is one of his most famous things that we associate him with, and replace it with a chiclet in which movie. So I think that personal transformation as well is something that really appeals to me, because I believe that we all change over time, and there is no such thing as the BR that was there when he was 20 years old is not the BR who was at 30 and 40 and now at 50. So when you have you can sense the change that keeps happening within you. I don't want to get in the zone of like conquer my weak impulses and become strong. No, it's not like that. It's not like like, oh my God, I was an evil person before and now I become a great person. It's not that at all. But it's that change can be like incorporated into your life in many, many ways, and this is the way change kind of happened to him, and I'm a big believer in change. Point number 3, Mullu Malarum. Orson once said, when somebody asked him about like, aren't you afraid that after Citizen Kane you haven't made this really great movie, and what happens, like, don't you want people to remember you for more movies than just that one movie? And Orson Welles smiled at them and said, all you need is that one movie. All you need is one, actually, is what he said. In Rajinikanth's case, if you ask him, like, okay, you've acted in tons of movies, but still people keep talking about Mullu Malarum. At least I keep talking about Mullu Malarum as the greatest film that he's been in, and his greatest ever performance. Rajini can look at me and say, all you need is one, and that is Mullu Malarum. So, despite the fact that he's been in so many films, he needs just that one movie to show that he is what he is because of that one film. Point number 4, Rajinikanth is only the second Tamil actor to receive the Dadasaheb Phalke Award after Shivaji Ganesan, which is something a little mind-boggling, because you just wonder about all these other people in between. Shivaji himself got it quite late after, like, I think the award started in the late 60s, 69, I think. Devika Rani was the first one. And Shivaji himself was quite late down the list. And you would have assumed that he would have gotten it much earlier. But then Rajinikanth is only the second actor after Shivaji Ganesan to get this award, which says a lot about, how prestigious this is. And I have to admit this. I will be lying. I will be a complete liar if I don't admit this. The Kamal fan in me is like, what happened to Kamal Hassan? Why isn't he in this list? But anyway, this is not about him. This is about Rajinikanth. But this is great because he's only the second after the great Shivaji Ganesan to kind of get this award, and that's something else. Point number 5. Another really inspiring thing about Rajinikanth is his utter lack of vanity. The other day, I was taking a course on South Indian cinema to the FTII students, and one of the things that they keep asking me is like, now how can Rajinikanth, just roam around with a bald head and like white hair and a white beard and kind of stuff like that? And I think it's personally fantastic because I don't have to tell you which actors in the North are right now in a major wig phase and they haven't left that wig phase for years. But with Rajini, what really inspires me is that your looks don't matter. What you do on screen matters. What you say matters on screen. It doesn't like people are able to understand that cinema is an artificial medium, that the way you look on screen is not the way you look in real life. And I think that is something great that he's really been demonstrated. And that utter lack of vanity, I think vanity is the word. The fact that he's able to just put his purest self out to the public and say, this is what it is, that's very inspiring to me. Point number 6. He is still playing the effing hero all the time. There is no such thing as the Amitabh Bachchan factor where you're the actor and then you're the superstar and then your film start flopping after a point and then you slowly graduate into character roles. Nothing wrong with that. That is how most people do it. Absolutely, each one's career path is different. But Rajinikanth will not be accepted as anyone but the leading man of a movie, and this is with a career that is over 45 years old. So just imagine this. It's like it's kind of mind-boggling that people know that this guy who's of a certain age is out there on screen, and they still lap him up as a hero. He is the hero. He is the superstar still. And that's quite amazing. Now, I'm going to address a couple of naysayer points. There are going to be some people who say things like, has he really contributed that much to Indian cinema so that, to kind of deserve the Dadasaheb Phalke award? But I would say, look at some of the other recipients like Shashi Kapoor, for instance, or Vinod Khanna, for instance. Shashi Kapoor is one of my favorite actors. I love the guy. But if you ask me, is he a great actor? Has he ever done anything on par with Mullu Malarum? No, he's not. He's not done that. I love the guy. He's one of the most entertaining actors. His charm is amazing. He's wonderful. But you also remember that when Rajinikanth came in around 75 and till about 85 is the period that I would say that his great acting phase was, because that's when he got the most roles. And it's also because like at that point he kind of did not like fully make the transition to like stardom, and where he had to beat up all these things. He could still play a movie like Engeyo Ketokural, where he has a very subdued kind of role, even though the movie may be problematic today. But I'm just talking about a non-Rajini kind of role where he doesn't have to do all these other things, like fight and this and that kind of stuff. I think that phase is enough to show Rajinikanth as an actor. Point number 8, there are going to be people who say that this is a politically motivated award or something like that. That is something beyond the scope of this discussion, because, why something is given is something you never know. An award is an award. It all depends on the award committee and a bunch of other factors, so let's not even go there. But again, let me remind you of Mullu Malarum. Let me remind you of Netrikan. Let me remind you of like that scene in Talapati where Rajini goes and scolds Mammootty for like, why the hell did you go to Shobhana's house and get insulted? Did I ask you to do that? That's one of his like this such a burst of anger like that happens there, that scene always rivets me when I see him there. So it's like it's a collection of all these performances that really, like, even if the movies that he's been in a lot of the latter part of his career frankly are not great films, but there have always been some interesting moments, some great moments, except in of course like some totally bad films that he's done, that kind of this one. But even in a movie like Indiran, when you see him being the villain, it was so refreshing to kind of see that energy of Rajinikanth happening, which brings me to point 9. There are very few actors with the inner fire of Rajinikanth. But what I mean by inner fire is that, sometimes when a person comes on screen, you just light up. You kind of like, they bring that charisma. You don't have to look good. In fact, good looks are actually an impediment to inner fire. You don't have to look good. You don't like good in the traditional sense. You don't have to kind of, have this style or whatever it is, like with Rajini had a style. But what I'm trying to say is there is something about them that the camera loves. You put that face in front of the camera and the camera laps it up like a dog grabbing a bone. It's so very, very few actors have that quality, and Rajni is definitely one of those actors because the camera loves him. When you see Balu Mahendra, shoot him in Mullu Malarum, you kind of know with those zooms and stuff like that, with those baby zooms, you kind of, though that the way he maintains the expression, you see how he acts with Fatafat Jayalakshmi, you see how he acts with Shobha, you see how he acts with Sharad Babu. One of my personal tragedies that I felt about Rajinikanth's career is that he has not worked with enough great directors. Imagine had he made more films with Mahendran, had he made more films with people like that, it should have like with Bharati Raja, for instance, like at his peak. You could have seen so many other facets of him that we probably will never get to see now, because now he's become this incredible superstar who people can only see as a particular kind of person. So we can't get to see those anymore. But still, that's enough, what he's done in that period. And that brings me to the last point, which is, I just spoke about the inner fire. And people today, actually the kids today who are directors, they struggle to capture what to do with Rajinikanth. Oh, Rajini has signed a movie, but what do I do with him? The closest I think a director got in capturing the true Rajiniism on screen was Karthik Subraj. In the second half of Pete, where we see the flashback, right? And Rajini takes that shotgun and there's that wonderful 360-degree shot, and he kind of kills everybody at that wedding, the villains at the wedding. And I think that was the closest to Rajiniism, pure Rajiniism, that I saw somebody capture in recent times. That is, without making it fun. I mean, like, yes, that Yendiran scene is still a villainish Rajini, but that's also a bit of a caricature. Here you have a guy who isn't a bad guy, but he's kind of got this thing in him, that inner fire and that inner volcano, whatever. And my only wish is that we find more people doing this with Rajini. And of course, the fact is that even if we are disappointed with Rajinikanth's earlier films, we always look forward to the next one. The next one is Anate. Let's see what he does there. Once again, Rajinikanth, very, very happy. Congratulations from all of us at FC, and especially me. I'm the Kamal Rajni generation. I'm not Ajit Vijay generation. So it was always like, you've been the biggest part of my growing up in terms of going and watching films in all kinds of theaters. I've seen practically everything that you've made. This recognition is something that feels almost a little too sentimental and nostalgic to somebody who is a fan, as an audience member rather than a critic. So once again, congratulations.